Greet them this morning.
Very good morning, viewers of Resttv. I'm called Luke Oyesigire. I'm the Deputy Spokesperson of Police in Kampala Metropolitan.
Yes.
So I'm very glad to be here once more as we deliberate issues of public concern.
That's right. We're happy to have you, Mr. Luke Oyesigire. And there's this morning, before you actually stepped in, there's a gentleman that does a segment called Be Inspired Before You Expire. He mentioned a very important statement about police. And he said, usually people do not realize they talk ill about police and all of that until
you need police.
Until there is need. That's when you run to them. But we want to start by commending you for the great work that you're doing in this country to, security, keep law and order, keep traffic, keep everything in order. We want to commend you for that, first of all.
Thank you very much.
Yes, you do a great job. Now, but as we do the great job, there are things that happen along the way, the ups and downs of the job. In recent times, last week, there came out Father Simon Lokodo, Minister of Ethics, a survey about many sectors in the country and how corrupt they are. It came through, and for us, the good people that you are, the good job that you do, and the results that came through were different things altogether. Of course, police general duties, and then traffic police came through next, and then CID came through next, with ranking very high in corruption right there. What could have caused that?
Well, it is not something that is actually new to us. It has always been like that every year that goes by. Reports always come out and entail that police is the most corrupt. But we would also want to, we cannot of course challenge their report as of now unless we have our own report. But it, just to put it out on the spotlight, that the criteria they use while of course making such reports, it is something that of course should be questionable. As you can see, the police is one of the institutions, actually if not the only institution, that has its officers on all levels in the country and in the region, from the sub-county to the village to the parish. You will find there a police officer.
That's right.
Which is not the same with other institutions. Now, let me say like court. Do you know that there are some districts in the country that don't have courts of law? You have to transfer suspects from one district to another, or you even transferred a person to a major district just for people to get justice. So it is most likely that you won't find other institutions well put up in these areas other than police. So we found ourselves doing issues of court, whereby you find people have matters of, I'm demanding this person 10 million shillings, because there is no court where they can put this small claim. They will run to police after maybe they failed with the LOC and other local courts. They will run to the police, and in a way, of course, the justice cannot be like the one you get from court, because at the end of the day, someone will come out complaining, and they will say the CID is corrupt because it probably released the suspect maybe without the complainant being satisfied. Or maybe they arrested the suspect and the complainant is satisfied, but the suspect will complain that they actually took a bribe from me or something to be released. So we have found ourselves, not because we are the most corrupt, but because we are next to the people, we are close to the people. And along the way, complaints arise. And I think that is something that they fail to look at, that we are the only institution that is so close to the people. And because our colleagues, the army, the constitution doesn't allow them to associate and investigate matters.
That's right.
And the other end is you'll find them in their barracks. They will not be handling issues of public concern like we do.
Unless there may be when the worst has come to
when
the
worst has come to the worst.
Riot and
so that itself has put us there, and many of our officers, it is true, they have been compromised because they do register cases of some officers being corrupt. That's why we have this the State House anti-corruption, and many of our officers have been victims to that unit.
Yeah.
And many of them have been arrested and sentenced at a particular time. But the only problem we have is that such issues are there, but the public doesn't come out. And those that actually come out, we have helped them investigate such matters. But many of them don't come out. We only hear such things in research, like this one that came out. So the only thing I can really tell the public is to always come out, report such matters, either to the State House Anti-Corruption. We also have our professional standards unit, which has always investigated corrupt officers.
Well,
So you see, Mr. Westijeri, when these reports come out and they put the police at, the topmost, the ones dealing in corruption, and you are at the topmost, of course, the public thinks otherwise of the, of the sector. They feel like now if they are the most corrupt, like they've put it out, how do we again come and report our cases to them?
Actually,
but also,
actually, when you that report, that same report,
Yes.
actually, when they asked the same people who are
Yes.
saying the police is the most corrupt, they told them, which institution do you feel you
want
can
to
run to in case you have an issue of corruption? They said police.
police.
So I think the public still has hope in us in that respect. To your question.
don't you think it's because they have no other option?
Well, there are many other options. Like I said, we have the IGG, we have State House
How
Anti-Corruption.
accessible
those are known because, like you said, you are closer to the people
Yeah.
than all those other
Like I
sectors.
said, yes.
So you talked of issues of compromise with some officers or some police guards. How do you deal with some of those issues when they come up? Because you've heard of some of them that are caught in these issues and the next day you see them on the streets. So how do you deal with them? If we see them, come and do the normal work they do, yet they've been caught during doing actions that ought to have them in prisons.
Yeah, many instances. You see, we have a court, a disciplinary court. But some of the things that the court may decide is to recommendations in most cases.
Okay.
If someone is recommended for a dismissal, it is not the court to decide that this person should be dismissed, especially officers above my rank in most cases. So in most cases, of course, even though this person has a lower rank, you find this person appealing because it is again, it is in the law. You have to appeal. They will appeal the sentences, and appeals. We are limited with budgetary issues, and whenever the court sits, these officers must get allowances. Maybe also the place where they're supposed to sit. So hearing the same case over and over sometimes becomes a problem. And at the end of the day, it is the police, it is people that are actually not in police, but in different areas, but make up that name. But most especially they're in internal affairs that actually decide this officer should be dismissed, but not police officers. So I think it is something that maybe with time, maybe they need to change some of those laws or rules. Maybe the police should head and dismiss. But of course, it can also be used against some officers. Maybe for the person, the chairman of the court doesn't like some officer, they can use that against them and maybe dismiss them. So there are safeguards that are in there, and at the same time they act as hindrances to dismiss some of these people that have actually been seen doing some acts that are bad in the eyes of the public.
Boboli Nechibuzo, now you can come through to us and on our numbers. The number is going to be on the screen right there. You talk to us and you talk to Afande Luke Westijeri. You want to ask anything regarding security, regarding police, and regarding anything that you do not understand right now. The survey we're talking about has been on since 2008, and police has been topping the statistics of corruption. And of course, Mr. Westijeri says it's because they are close to the people. Do you think these guys are imbalanced in the way they do their survey? Why? Which coincidence is it that all these years it's been the police that has been topping the tables? What coincidence?
Well, particularly, I need maybe to engage the people that do these the surveys. But if you to look at some of the complaints we get, you'll find that the police, in most cases, the fact that it is direct to the people, and most of their victims are these people that are low income earners. And at the end of the day, border rider riding his motorcycle and is arrested because he doesn't have some things that qualify him to be on the road, and you later on ask for money from that person, let it be 20,000, that person will feel very bad. And they will, of course, have to complain. That makes the police get onto the statistic.
Okay.
But you find many institutions where billions of money are missing, trillions of money have gone missing, and they will never be reported as corrupt, because you find that the people that are involved are actually like 2 people.
And even when they're reported, those cases somehow run under the rug and you never hear them.
You never hear about them. So we do find ourselves, the fact that I will admit, we do have cases of corruption. It is not something that I can deny.
Yeah.
We have arrested many of our officers. Some of them have been dismissed. Those are the the clear cases where there is no objection, where there is enough evidence. Many of them have been dismissed. And some of them are still lagging because of appeals and some issues within the law. So I do admit, yes, corruption is there, but the fact that we are always heading the
operations of,
the fact that we are always heading the country of being most corrupt, I think that is something that needs to be reviewed on the criteria they use to come out with such statistics, because at the end of the day, the police is everywhere. We are even outside the country. We do missions. So at the end of the day, we are victims also of some circumstances. Of course, I cannot say so. Cannot compare them to the circumstances. I cannot compare circumstances to the people that are being victimized by this corruption.
Okay.
Well, we'll step out for a break shortly, and when we come back, there's quite a lot that we are discussing. Like Doc told you, we have our numbers running on the screen. Please call in or send a message and ask issues that disturb you about the police, about security, because the gentleman is in the house. And still, when we come back, we'll talk of the abductions. What exactly is going on with the police and the army? Why isn't the list coming out even up to now? The gentleman will be telling us. We'll be back shortly. Good morning.
The Takeoff. On Resttv. You're watching Resttv, Wumula.
This is Jackie Musime Kyoguru, aka JMK, and I'll be hosting a show called Real Talk. Real Talk is a talk that deals and caters for those issues that people find difficult to discuss, okay? Those issues that people find hard to sit down and talk about. So I would encourage people to, during this talk, to call in. And if you find that there are certain things that you don't understand or certain issues that you'd like me to clarify on, it would be good for you to call in and ask me what exactly I mean. I'm going to be dealing with issues: divorce, masturbation, why have men changed, LGBTQ, you know, those issues that are tough. What happens in the workplace? Why are people doing things that they are doing in the office space to get to where they want to get? Like, why does somebody have to sleep with the boss to get to where they have to get? You know, those issues. So let us talk without any shyness, with no pretense, with a clear mind, and let's see how we can actually have a real discussion. So this is Real Talk.
Watch Real Talk with Jackie Musime Chihuguro, Monday and Tuesday, 10:30 a.m. on Resttv.
You're watching Resttv, Wumula. Watching the takeoff. On Rest TV.
Okay, welcome back. When we broke off, we were still talking to Afande Luke Owesigire, the Deputy Spokesperson, Kampala Metropolitan, and we're happy to have him this morning. Banga lyonna lyetuwa bafande bano akachayi nga bakayita twalina amanya bajjayo amanya mangi nnyo mu kachayi waliwaga weesudise wayise naani genda kekasawo mukomba ku lugalo ntemera yogera ng'omusajja yogera oluganda ebigambo ebyo byonna all the time we've had those things with afandes nze nali sifunanga mu kuluno nafunyemu I think sometime last week nadde ne ASP awiyo natusanga nga tuli awe nagamba byonna mbisasudde. I was in utter shock. I had never received anything from a police officer in my whole life. Nothing like maybe yes anga tutuddawo tulya naga you guys byonna mbisasudde ate siwo sente nasasula sente. I was like no guy so enough twafuna mu kuolwo kubanga ekyo tubadde nga batujja mubojja
loza nerero tugenda kufuna
katulinde ekinava mu kyaliro gwatulaba osobola tukubirako eyo enamba y'essimu n'obuuza Afande Owesigire ekintu kyonna simanyi kye tugenda kufuna mu lwaleero okuva gy'oli.
Simanyi nange sifunangamu mu bantu okujjako omusaala gwenfuna.
naye nga abantu badde tugamba nti oluusi it's us the public that actually initiate some of these things to the officers. And officer balina kugaana ethics oba bwe tunaleeta kamera ezikwata ezo zimonitoringa tunalabanga omukono nga guyitingana bwe guti officer balina kugaana.
Officer balina okugaana kuba kituufu ffenna bwe tuli wano ojja kukkiriza nange nti buli omu alina ebizibu bye. Ova waka ng'olina ebizibu byo ng'omuntu naye bw'oba oyingira ekitongole ekya poliisi waliwo ekirayiro ky'okola. Era ekyo ekirayiro kijjiramu n'okuba nti nno olina okuwa obwenkanya eri abantu bonna nga toyawudde nti ono yaani kuba kati bw'obanga obuweereza bwo obusinzirira ku ssente omuntu z'akuwadde awo kiba kitegeeza nti abamu abo abatalina ssente tojja bbawa ki bwenkanya.
Obwenkanya Afande nze sibufunanga nze kubanga waliwo bw'oba ovuga Afande omu nakwata ng'okoze traffic offense driver n'abaako mukulu we gwakubidde namugamba okafande n'amuleka n'agenda. Gaayo ono obeera omuweebudde ono ali ku kkubo obuyinza bwe buba buweebuuse. The next time bw'aliraba Gaayo ono sino ng'akoze ensobi y'emu tajja kusobola kumugambako kintu kubanga akimanyi this guy calls my
Of course that is another form of corruption. Corruption should not be looked at in monetary side of it. Corruption of course is something that hinders justice. At the end of the day wetuba tutunuulidde mu category yaffe ya police nti omuntu ne bw'abanga alina ekikolobero kyakoze genga omuntu alina amaanyi mu gavumenti nojja no-influencinga wadde to-influencinze na ssente mu investigations ezo, that is some sort of corruption. So abasirikale abo bonna ate ne muteeka mu traffic omuntu oyo aba akubye essimu waliwo etteeka mu traffic nga liriko n'ekibonerezo ekisobola omubonereza oli yennyini akubye essimu okugamba ono nti nno lwaki tebamutya ki oba oidinga obumenyi bw'amateeka okuba nti nobukola ki bugenda mu maaso.
So tulina bafanda abaluzinze emirimu gyabwe mu ebyo ebintu bwe bityo.
Yes. And it is true, many of them you hear a lot of complaints here and there nti nagaana okukola boss kye yaŋŋamba nina transfer mulimu of course gusigalawo naye nti the issue is transferring them. N'owulira ono n'agamba nti nno bankubye transfer nti olw'okuba saakola boss kye yaŋŋamba olw'okuba saakola kiri naye those are the complaints that come within us that actually abasirikale nabo kuba bwoba okola public relations tetujja gikolera public siboka tulina gikola internally nti nabo bamanye nti no balina eddembe ng'abantu nti bw'oba wakwemulugunya ate tiweemulugunya nnyo mu bantu bayinza butakuyamba okwemulugunya kuno okutwale waggulu nti nze kuba tulina mechanisms ne bw'oba toli happy about the transfer ojja kuvayo ogambe nti manyi lwaki nafu bantransferinze ensonga bweti ne bweti n'owakanya transfer eyo n'ogamba nagano yamba gundi era nansibako ebigambo era nsaba mu kinoonyerezeko era abasirikale bangi oluvannyuma lw'okunoonyereza ne tuzuula ekituufu ekyaliwo nga bakomezeddwawo ku mirimu gyabwe so embeera eyo tujja tugiraba challenges ze tuyina mu forces naye bw'obanga etteeka liba tteeka olw'okuba gwe oyina enjala olw'okuba gwe oyina ki oyina ebizibu byo tekijja kuwamwaganya kuba nti n'ogenda n'okkiriza enguzi at the end of the day gwe bagiwadde n'oyo agiwadde mwina muba mu nsobi.
That's right.
Well, because we've agreed corruption is not just in monetary terms.
Yeah.
Mwami Wesijire. The abductions that are ongoing, denying these, you know, so many Ugandans justice. And the reports have been coming through that the police and the army are having issues. Police cannot release the list if the army does not give them the people. And of course, the public is still worried and they're scared of what could happen. Did our people die? Are they still living? What exactly is going on? How are we handling that issue?
Well, the president was pretty much clear when he came out to explain about the alleged abductions. Of course, he came out and put it clear that they were actually arrests. And even mentioned that some of them were taken to courts of law, others were still detained. And of course gave guidelines and what should be the next step of action. One of it was that the security agencies that were actually involved in this arrest should come out clear and inform the country on how many people they have, what exactly did they do, how many were taken to court of law, and where are they after they were taken to courts of law. So that is the directive that he gave, and it was pretty much clear. And of course, along the way, the members of parliament came out very, very serious about the issue. And they asked the Honorable Speaker to make sure that such information comes out as fast as possible.
That's right.
So as I think the agency that was responsible for the arrest was still reorganizing themselves, such commands came from Parliament, where the Minister of Defense and Veteran Affairs was put on task to come out and explain, which of course he said the police has a list of, they handed over the list to us from one of the agencies that was responsible, which was true, we didn't deny that fact, and along the way they tasked the Minister of Internal Affairs to come out and explain to the country what exactly is happening and when the list should be out. We can ably tell you that that list was handed over to the minister, the line minister of Internal Affairs, because he's the overall for any police officer. So when the line minister is expected to talk before the parliament, me as a spokesperson or any police officer, we can never come out and start explaining before he does the explanation. We can only come in to expound more on what he said after he has said it. So I would really request that we give the line minister a chance. I don't know, anytime from today, I think we'll be putting it before Parliament and explaining the circumstances, how these people were arrested, which courts of law, and other questions may arise later, whether they followed the normal procedures. Of course, people who are interested, because some of them are claiming their relatives were tortured. With evidence, if available, we have agencies that are independent enough to investigate these claims. There's no one above the law, and we should be held accountable to our actions at the end of the day.
Are there cameras where these people usually are kept? Because I find evidence a bit difficult.
No,
to get.
evidence, you see, before we even got these cameras, whatsoever, people were being sentenced at the end of the day. When someone is tortured, it is something that remains on his body. And many of those that were...
But what if I inflicted the pain my own self? It was self-inflicted pain, and then I come through and say it was an officer who did it.
Then the officer has to come out and say, we arrested this person when he was like this. They also have to be given a chance to explain to themselves.
So how do you prove that now?
It is about now court to prove that, because you have taken the matter before court.
Because
You
the
must-
two people that were present, the officer and the victim,
Yeah.
cannot.
the victim should be able to prove to court beyond reasonable doubt that these wounds were inflicted on him by the officer. The officer should also be able to prove to court within reasonable doubt that these are wounds that were self-inflicted by the alleged victim. So it is now matters to do with court. At the end of the day, one person or none of them will get justice, or who knows.
But well, we know some people come out and say these things, just claim police did. But do you know, or do you see these things happen sometimes where people are arrested and are tortured by police officers?
Yes, of course, we have had some cases where some where some people actually some officers have also been. You've seen some of these court sentences where a court has claimed this person was tortured, and because he was in the custody of this person was responsible for his custody. He's supposed to pay a certain amount of money as what do they call it? As what? That amount of money whereby court tells you to pay.
Oh,
Bail.
bail.
No,
Bond,
not bail,
rather.
not bail, not bail, not bond.
Anyway,
Maybe in Uganda, court eragira oli okuyiririra.
kuliyirira.
Okuliyirira omuntu oyo agambibwa okuba nti atulugunyizibwa. So tuze emisango egyo weegiri. So the fact that court etuuse ku kukkaanya okwo eba erina obujulizi bw'amaanyi nti omuntu ono yatulugunyizibwa. Era abasirikale bangi, bannamagye bangi abavuddeyo ne batwalibwa mu mbuga z'amateekero emisango ne gibasinga. So ekyo sijja kiwakana, naye era tulina ne bano abatulimbirira nabo gye bali bangi nnyo. Ng'oli ajja kwetuusaako ebisago. At the end of the day, the police will be put on spot because the public trust in us is pretty much low. You find people believing the other person.
Now, of course, the irony there is that the public trust to the police is pretty much low, but again, they run to the police for whenever they have cases coming through. That I don't understand. Anyway, the arrests are still going on. Is it that they are using... we have someone we want to talk to right now before we get in with this question right now. Resttv, hello?
Hello?
Good morning.
Yes, my name is Carl.
Carls.
Yes, I have a simple question for the police spokesperson.
Yes.
One of the questions is, why is it that in most cases of recent, victims or suspects are being arrested brutally? That means being beaten while being arrested.
Okay.
And yet, even victims could have even offered himself to be arrested. But still you will find the police arresting them while beating them.
Okay.
Then too, in the verge that the public has lost its trust in police, how is police working to regain that trust that we had a long time, that in case you have a problem, the safety place to go is the police?
Okay.
Because right now I'm seeing the police have become the enemies of the public. Whereby if a person has a problem, a person will say, instead of going to police, I'd rather stay home and find a way of solving my problem.
Okay.
Just like that.
Thank you very much, Carls. Good morning. The Afande will be answering shortly. That is the question that he has right there. Carls, yes.
But of course, he's saying that they've seen a lot of scenarios where people are being beaten while being arrested.
Yeah.
And
Oli armed on Singamani, Oli trained isn't just civilian. Onkutte nzikiriza why beat me up.
yes, well, I do admit there's some cases like that where people who are actually not resisting arrest, the officers are too harsh. And you find because the officer is being harsh, this suspect gets frustrated along the way. Why am I being beaten yet? I'm willing to move. We've seen many cases whereby some officers will prick the suspects, yet they're already in custody with some material. That amounts to torture because this person is allowed to be arrested. And at the end of the day, you're torturing them. If he's it is different from someone who's resisting arrest, where the officer within the law has to use all means possible to have you arrested, which includes maybe using his baton. Of course, he will have to hit you with his baton at the end of the day. But where a suspect has accepted and is in your hands and you keep on doing these things to him or her, it is something that amounts to torture, and we have investigated such cases. But of course, along the way, some of these complainants lose interest in the matter. Maybe they've been compromised by the officer. You know, issues of Ugandans whereby mutuuza wansi n'omuganja kuwaayo nja kujjanjaba nkuwe ekyenkuwadde. At the end of the day, the officer will become remorseful. You find that the complainant loses interest, and now the onus comes on to us, the police officer, to make sure that we discipline this person in our disciplinary courts, not in the criminal courts.
Okay.
So it is something that, of course, we always take up whenever we get complaints. And if there is interest of the person, we shall not necessarily take this person in our disciplinary court because they have light sentences, but to criminal courts where the person can even be sentenced.
You talked about trust of the police and the people.
The trust of the police and the people, this is something that, of course, we do have a lot of challenges. I would want to say before the COVID-19 issues, we had embarked on rectification campaigns, moving in our different areas, building the trust of police officers, and also making sure that some of the issues that are affecting our officers, because at the end of the day, a disciplined officer will help boost the trust between the officers and the police and the public. So we were doing a lot of issues with our officers, making sure they are in line, they are disciplined, and unfortunately, COVID came in. Some of the issues that we were discussing were because at the end of the day, when these our officers, they would always bring up issues that they would want to be given a bigger amount of salary, and of course that was promised to them by government. And but of course now we are in COVID, we are not sure. A lot of money has been used, and the government is failing.
A lot of it being wasted out there.
The government is probably failing to collect taxes, so it means they will have to be patient on that. Then at the end of the day, the public that we are supposed to be doing community policing, dialogue situations, we could not do that because of COVID. You know, a lot of issues. Movement for these people was hard. At the end of the day, you cannot come and sit in a meeting with police officers, yet you're hungry. You know, the COVID issue really put us back behind, but we are really working much on programs that actually, some of them that are actually even sponsored by other agencies, to make sure that we increase our trust with the public. And I hope with time, it is we shall be working together. But the differences between the police, and by the way, if you're to look at Uganda police and you compare it with the police of some of these other countries, let me say like the US, we do have our challenges, of course, as the Uganda police, but when you to look at the relationship of the police to the public, it is very much better than in most of these other countries. In other countries, you don't talk about a police officer. You don't hit a police officer. But here you find the public beating police officers, and they go scot-free. You find many issues happening to us from the public, but there is little or no engagement.
Like the gentleman who put his knee on George Floyd in the US.
There's little or no engagement that is there. And in most cases, when a police officer is doing something that is bad to the public will come out and speak about it. And it is upon us to now investigate and make sure that this person is sentenced. When they see such issues, where officers that have been engaged in activities that are criminal in nature are being brought forward, sentenced, taken to courts of law, I think that also increases our public trust. The gentleman that shot, the officer that shot this man, Sevulime, he was taken to courts of law. He's now in prison in Rosira, not minor police courts, taken to criminal courts. So that, I think, increases the public trust. Whenever we hold any officer accountable for their for the wrongs they do, I believe that alone will help us increase the public trust.
Well, you say you hold them accountable, but the public feels like there's some of them that are still, moving freely after, coming up with different cases. But like you said, sometimes it's not you to rule that out. But still, we've seen killings that have gone on, careless, for lack of a better word, careless shootings that have happened, recently, where an officer would just shoot at people and the public feels like, why not use a rubber bullet or, cause something that will make these guys scared. But
The one that killed the S2
yeah, there's a young
student.
boy that was killed recently. Police came through to, chase people away, disperse them from where they were,
In I think that the issue was in is it Toronto?
One of those upcountry
One of those,
districts.
yes.
And,
And the young boy was shot.
It is very unfortunate, but like I said, it is very hard to avoid such instances from happening. We do train our officers to be professional, to make sure that they disperse the public using the means that are available and that are within the law. But where such incidents happen, we have to make sure that this child gets justice.
let's talk to this person here. Resttv, hello? Hello?
Yes.
Good morning, Sebo. Your name and where you're calling from?
Yes.
William,
I'm very calling from Kamuli.
from Kamoli.
Yes, Kamuli because of the region.
Okay, your question to
Yeah,
Afande. Stand.
However, what I can talk about is about police brutality
Mm,
and the reckless shootings. It happened just of recent where police officers came at one's home and they started questioning the people around why they are outside their home at around 7 o'clock. And they started shooting and detaining the family members at home.
Okay.
And when they went to report to the DPC of Kamuli, he said, you need to tell me the names of those officers, which was unfair, because it is a bit hard for someone to get to know the officers at night who are in an operation.
Yeah.
So I pray that we have some changes where need to be and even to be trained on what to do. They are spoiling the image of police. Of course, not all police officers, but some of them. So
Thank you so much.
serious measures should be put on.
Thank you. Thank you for watching over there in Kamoli, and wish you a lovely morning. Yes, Afande.
Talking about brutality, like I said, I had not finished my
Yes.
issue about the curfew. The curfew itself was a challenge to us. The guidelines that were brought in by the Ministry of Health.
Yes.
We are the ones supposed to enforce these guidelines. Of course, the help of the community is much more warranted. It is much more needed by us because this issue of chasing ourselves around is not something that, of course, is needed. I do believe that we need each other. But when officers also use a lot of force whenever they are enforcing this, you saw in the beginning when our colleagues would come, beat up people, throw away their food. It was too much until we came out, took some back for training on how to be pro-people. I do believe one of the things he came out with and mentioned that some of these officers need to be retrained on how to engage with the public. It is true.
Yeah.
We do need a lot of refresher courses, and the police officers should be informed on how to engage with the public. Because at the end of the day, when you sit there and tell these people, please move, I want to leave this place when you've all left, they will move away. There is no necessity of an officer using chiboko. And at the end of the day, these people are not doing something that has been illegal in the past. Because before we got coronavirus, some of the activities that are actually illegal now because of the statutory instrument were okay things in the past. Moving at midnight, riding beyond, they were okay things. So people getting used to this new life, it is something that officers need to also understand, that they need to be patient with the people. It is not something that you wake up along the way and you say, let's enforce this. Of course, there are those that are big-headed, You find borders, you already seeing officers there, but he will zoom his motorcycle wanting to knock you. That is showing that some of these people don't really care whether they are arrested, whether they are dead or not, because many of them even switch off their lights. They ride motorcycles when there are no lights because they fear being arrested. And along the way, I can tell you, 5 people have died because of that.
Yeah.
Many cyclists have died. There's one who was riding, and we had stopped a vehicle that was having metal that would protrude. The man just came and knocked. He died in a death that was brought to him. So, but because if he had lights, or if he had opted not to move at that particular time, he would see that there is the vehicle that is there is actually having black things that are protruding out. But he could not see the black things. He would only see the white things. So he thought he was still far away, yet he was close to danger. So I can tell you, some of them have fallen in the things we put around. The barriers. So, and many of them have gotten injured, some have died. So at the end of the day, it comes back to us to follow these guidelines without being forced. Really, if you're seeing officers enforcing, why would you approach them? You would approach them if you have a serious issue, but some of them approach them just to run away.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Fande Luke OSG this morning for your time. Thank you so much for watching today and for engaging today. We will definitely have him some other time because we almost need like 2 hours. We still have very many questions to ask him. If people have queries, where can they find you? If we have other questions, how can we access you?
You can always find me at my office. We do interviews. Maybe they can be recorded and they are played later. So
okay.
That is fine with me.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. And we will be stepping out right now. We'll usually leave you with something to make you smile. At 10:30 today, we have Real Talk, Jackie Musime Kyuguru. 11:30, Talk to the Pastor. 1 p.m. lunch hour will be coming through.
That is right. Thank you so much for being a part of the show, and thank you so much, sir, for coming through. We hope the next time you come through, because there's quite a lot that we did not talk about. But keep watching Resttv. We love you. From us to you, good morning.
The Takeoff. On Resttv. You're watching Resttv. Wumula.
Balamusiza mwenna abatulaba era abatuuliriza. Amannya gange nze Otori Sharon nga nkolera wano ku Jabez Vaccination Clinic. Ndi musawo era nga ku ddwaliro lino tugema ebintu ebyenjawulo. Gamba nga mwana azaaliddwa eyeetaaga okugemebwa baweetaaze okulinnya ennyonyi tukugema yellow fever ne tukuwa ne kadi.
Jabez Vaccination Clinic nga bano bakugu mu kugema endwadde ez'enjawulo. Gamba nga ssenyiga, ekifuba, yellow fever eri gwayagala okufuluma eggwanga nga tetukwelako ne yellow fever card. Eri gwembwa gwerumye naawe tweyune ate gwe nakazadde ayagala okugema omwana wo eri ebirwadde byonna. Tusange ku kkubo eridda e Mulago okumpi ne Fast Pharmacy oba tukubire ku namba z'essimu zino: 0782 09 46 asatu oba 0752 33 8 22. Jabez Vaccination Clinic wetuli ku Luro.
You're watching Resttv. Wumula.
Going all over the world and spread the word of truth.
What you need is not more speed, you need perspective.
He's the same yesterday, today, and forever.
I feel like lifting him up.
He's Jehovah Sabbath. He's Jehovah El Gibor. He's Jehovah. He's Jehovah.
I want to set you free today from the feeling that you have to find your calling.
Every knee shall bow and every tongue confess that Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father.
I'm glad to know that earthly fathers don't have the last word.
Don't miss the Resttv International Connect, Monday to Friday, 10 a.m.
Brand new series. This is a series that we're going to be doing all single month of the new year. And I'm titling this series, No Cap. No cap. I want you to do me a favor and just look at a neighbor, whichever one you like the best, and just say, neighbor, 2021, here's your word. It's actually two of them. No cap. Come on, say no cap. It's a new year, no cap. And we're gonna go deeper in what that actually means, but let's go with actually our theme verse for 2021. I want you to look at Ephesians chapter 3 for me. Ephesians chapter 3 and 21. This is not only scripture we're going to be looking at tonight, but I want this to be your anchor verse for this year. I want you to memorize this for this year. Ephesians 3 verses 20 and 21. How awesome is that? I didn't even plan that when God dropped this verse in my heart, but it's verse 20 and 21 of Ephesians chapter 3. Some of y'all are super saved. You've been in church a long time and you've heard it. Look at what it says. Now to him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that works in us. To him be glory in the church by Christ Jesus to all generations forever and ever. Amen. Somebody ought to make some noise. That is, that's a good verse. That is a good verse. I don't do drugs, I do scripture. That is a good verse. Let me read